Welcome to my Valentine's Day tutorial. Hopefully if you love or hate Valentine's Day you can appreciate this tutorial. You know, it's got a little bit of both. It's cutesy for the people that love Valentine's Day, and it's also a motherfucking zombie for people that don't like Valentine's Day. So I tried to cater to you both. I personally love it because I love love. Any chance to show love or spread love, I love it. God, I said that so many fucking times. Show some goddamn love. Now. Before I go into my tutorial, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of information that has come to my attention recently. I posted this look on Instagram about a week ago, and it came to my attention that there is another artist. Her name is Creative Boss on Instagram and on YouTube. She goes by Made You Look. Her name is Lex. And about a year ago, she did a Valentine's Day zombie as well. This is just a little bit of a disclaimer to let you guys know that my look is in no way affiliated with hers. She's an amazing artist, a great YouTuber. I'll leave her information down below so you guys can go check her out for sure. And as always, thank you for checking out my tutorials. Let's do it. Gotta start with my coffee, as always. It starts my soul. It gets my soul ready to go for the day. I always, whenever I'm doing any look, I usually take a pencil and I start sketching out just to give myself a rough outline of what I'm gonna do. It doesn't really matter what the color of pencil is because pretty much everything gets covered anyways, so just do your thing. It's whatever. Alright, let's see. I'm gonna give myself a little zombie mouse. I'm going to put some little hearts right up here because I'm going to make it look like they're torn out and just kind of nasty and almost like my zombie just decided to have perfect heart shapes wrought out of its little face. Now that we have kind of a general outline of where we want some of the pieces, we are going to, I mean, unless you're magically doing this along with me, then we. But I'm going to go in, if I could ever open this goddamn thing, with a white, kind of light pink all over as the base. I want the skin color of my zombie to be a very, very light pink, and then I can go in with darker colors to shade if I want, but I personally like starting with more of a lighter shade and I can always darken it up. I really don't like going in with too dark of a shade and then trying to lighten it up and trying to get kind of highlights where I want. I really like starting with a lighter shade. So I'm going to be using, I just got these at Inglot. I'm going to be using the Wolfe Paints, and it is color 001, Le White, and color 032, pink. I'm just gonna mix them together and make a very light pink. These paints are water activated, so I'm just going to take a little bit of water. I'm using a brush from Obsessive Compulsive Cosmetics. It's this type. And just taking it onto my paint, you can see when I wet it, becomes activated. You don't need a lot of water, and it really depends on the consistency you do want to make them. You can make them very watery, you can make them very creamy and pigmented. It all just depends what you're going for. And I'm just going to take that and start putting it all over where my zombie skin would be. Because what we drew out before is essentially the area that's going to be like ripped off and exposed. If you're a little nervous about the shape you make, let's say for instance my heart, I don't know if I want it to be more torn than this, you know, I don't know yet until I get in there with the darker color. So I will kind of overcompensate and add a little bit more lightness than maybe I think I'll use. I'm just going to take a smaller little concealer type dealio brush. And this is going to be just to go in a little bit and kind of lighten up some areas I want. So I'm just using this brush to go in on the edges that I want and then lightly pull it up so that it just kind of blends with the pink. Sometimes I like to go in with a fluffy brush to just kind of help blend out some of the paint because sometimes there's so much pigment still on this brush. So right now I'm using the Morphe G14 brush, and while the paint's still wet, I'll just use it to blend the paint out. At this point, now that I've done a little bit of my paint, I go in with a fluffy brush. This is Morphe B13. Their brushes are super fucking affordable. I can't. And a white matte shadow. This is White Lies from Makeup Geek. This is just gonna help kind of even it out and get it primed for when I do all my shading on it as well. Now going in with a brush from Mehron. This is a Paradise Makeup AQ 818 brush. Just has a little tip, that tip for painting. It's really nice. And Kryolan 083, just a bright ass red. A concealer type brush like this is great for this kind of painting right now because you can get right up to the edge where you want to go. With another Mehron brush, it is the Mark Reed Signature 4. Just has a smaller little tip. So I'm just gonna start kind of drawing where I want some of these little holes. Also, make sure not to get discouraged while you're going through it because just like now, I look at it and I have a little moment of panic thinking, oh my god, how am I gonna make this work? It's okay. It's totally part of the creative process. It's part of what every artist goes through where they have that moment of, holy shit, I fucked up my face. Now using a Morphe M441 fluffy brush and Sugarpill's Love Plus, I'm going to just go over the red that I put down. I'm going to be going ham in the Makeup Geek shadows now. Now I'm taking Bitten, which is just a matte maroon. And what we're doing now is giving the illusion that, that the sunken in part, the kind of rotting part right here, is lower than what the skin would be. Because obviously the skin would be the pink skin would be on top of the wound. It would be kind of hanging over the wound, so we need to give it tons of shadow and contrast so that that's what it looks like, to give that illusion. This little kind of eye socket area right through here would cast quite a lot of shadow onto your eye. So you want to make sure this is very dark. Now that I have a little bit of a base of my eyeshadows that I want, you want the skin, even though it's on top and kind of hanging over some of this zombified area, the skin itself will still have contrast. So we're going to go in with, this is from Anastasia, Beverly Hills. This is Blushing. It's very pink shadow. This is just going to kind of start us off. And we're just going to take it with a fluffy brush and start blending it right into the socket. You do want everything to generally transition together. every little ridge, every nook and cranny is going to have some kind of highlight and shadow balancing it out. It's never going to just be, you know, shock white to your shadow. On this side I had already started to contour, and so that's just kind of where I'm going to go with this now. I'm going back in with blushing, and I'm going to be darkening all the areas that I would normally for a normal contour. Going in with the Anastasia Beauty Mark shade, I'm just going to start darkening up the contour. Now I'm going back in with the Kryolan red paint with the small Mehron brush just to fill in the holes I have left and add some more detail with this. Now it's just going to be a whole lot of pretty much me doing the exact same thing over and over to all these little holes. Bitten from Makeup Geek. Beauty Mark from Anastasia. Corrupt from Makeup Geek. Alright, so the rest of the clip I'm going to just kind of speed up. I'm going to be working on my holes, all of them. This is bugging me, so I'm going to get the Paradise Makeup AQ 813 brush, just this little dude. Some white face paint. I'm going to make it look like my eye is big and droopy. My favorite brush from MAC, it's the 263, and I'm using Bitten, and we're just gonna go right under that white line to give it some contrast underneath. I personally like to do it where I start outlining where I want the teeth to be, and then I fill in the red afterwards. We're gonna go in with the white face paint from Wolfe, and then this brush, I've been using it for some shading as well. It's from Obsessive Compulsive Cosmetics. It's just like a rounded lip brush. So when drawing teeth, you know, pay attention to how your teeth are. Look at them, and you want to, even if you're doing it cartoon-ish or anything, it still needs to at least kind of make sense with how it would be realistically. So I just start at these front two. And now my bunny. And remember, your teeth don't just go, they don't go down. So don't just follow your lip shape. You need to follow how they would be naturally. And then it's gonna go down a little bit. Towards the end here, I kind of group them up, and oh god, I did one side much higher than the other, so we're just gonna fix that. Now we're going to go in with the Mehron Paradise Makeup 812 with that red Kryolan paint again. We're going to start shading underneath here where all the skin would B, so I'm just going in like I did before with Bitten. I'm bringing it onto the teeth a little bit, just so they have a little bit more contrast to them and make them look a little more curved. We're going to use some purple to shade the teeth. This is Sugarpill 2 AM. I'm just going to, whoop, that's kind of a lot. I'm just going to put a little pigment on the top of some of these teeth. This isn't much, but this is just to make the teeth look a little aged, so that they're not just bright white all around. Now with a small liner brush, this is my favorite liner brush. It's a MAC 210. It's very tiny. Very, very small and thin. And some Inglot 77 liner. It's super black. We're just going to lightly do some lines between the teeth. It's not going to be this perfect line. We're just going to put a few lines here and there. I'm going to do it to a couple other areas as well. This will basically just give it a sharper edge to a few places that I really want a sharp edge, where the skin overlays on top of the rotting flesh. Taking Corrupt by Makeup Geek again and just going lightly between the teeth just to give them that added dimension. I'm just going to add a few little dots here and there by my heart because it looked a little too empty. Now for a more finishing touch, I'm going to contour my pink skin like I did earlier on my face. So I'm going in with a big fluffy brush from Spectrum, just so that my shoulders and neck semi-match what's going on up on my face. I want to look all dirty and distressed. Alright, I'm going to go put on a wig and I will show you the whole finished look together. Hopefully if you're anti-Valentine's Day, this delicious zombie made your heart happy. As always, I will have all products used listed down below. Also, I will have that link for Makeup Geek Cosmetics, the eyeshadows I mainly used in this look, if you wanted to get a discount and do some shopping. Till next time.